So, Ginger,
Yeah?
you know how we wanted to start a podcast, but we were having trouble coming up with a topic?
Yeah?
Okay, so here's my pitch. The topic of the podcast is us trying to come up with the topic for the podcast.
What, like we pitch each other podcast ideas and that's the podcast?
Yeah, exactly. We could call it, What Should Our Podcast Be About?
Miles, that's really stupid. Let's do it.
What should this song be about? I'm trying to figure it out. What should this song be about? Could you perhaps help me out? I've had a moment of doubt. What should this song be about? Welcome to What Should Our Podcast Be About? The Miss Rachel Talkback Show, where we talk about the YouTube channel for babies that we watch all the time, Miss Rachel. I'm Miles Grover.
Yeah, I'm Ginger Barham. So what was this week on Miss Rachel?
So I have something I want to show you, and this is really minor, but it just caught me. Can you describe what's in this thing I'm showing you?
It is a stop sign
Mm-hmm.
with the word stop above it in addition to the stop on the sign.
Yes, and do you notice how many sides there are on the stop sign?
6.
And how many sides are there famously on stop signs?
8.
Yes, they're octagons, and this is very clearly a hexagon. And it's a stop sign, which also famously says stop in big letters, and they also wrote stop above it. This was just a little graphic on Miss Rachel that I was like, why, who did this? Why did you do this? How did you fail this so badly with such a simple graphic?
It also has a border.
I think stop signs might have a border.
Do they? An inner border?
Like an inner white border.
An inner white border?
Maybe. I guess we could look it up.
I'm going to Google it right now. Hold on.
They have a white border
It has
that's
a white
not
border, but
really
not an inner one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sort
Anyway.
of mildly interesting, maybe.
Mildly interesting.
Yeah, so this is not actually a Miss Rachel Talkback show.
No.
I fooled you with my clever ruse.
Everyone fell for it.
I fell for it. This is a podcast where we try to figure out what this podcast is going to be about. As you listen to it, we discover what this episode's about, at least, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Do you
Maybe.
have any, maybe, hopefully?
I think you should start this week.
Okay.
Because I have brought one single idea this week.
Okay, well, my first idea is actually my idea from last week again, which is Adultz Bop, because I feel like it has legs.
Okay.
But I know that last week the example I brought was quite bad.
Uh-huh.
It was supposed to be, but
right.
like...
So you've brought a worse example this week?
No, a better example. A better example for this podcast in that we might want to do it.
Okay.
Okay, so last week I did a stupid thing about old MacDonald having a lot of balls, and
Yeah.
I was thinking about like...
Old McDonald's balls?
I was not thinking about old MacDonald's balls, actually, for once. I was thinking about other things that would be better examples, because I feel like Adultz Bop is funny.
Okay.
At least it's funny to me. And so I was thinking about, like, I don't know, trying to do a kid's song about blowjobs or orgies or something. I was like, actually, that's kind of just not that fun.
Yeah.
And
no,
there's-
it's inherently wrong and creepy.
Well, sort of. I mean,
Yes.
it wouldn't be for kids or anything. It would
Right,
just be
I know,
putting
but
kids'
it
music.
feels icky.
Yeah, it feels kind of icky. But I was thinking there's things that are adult focused things that are not for kids, that are also not, inappropriate sort of in general, right? Like sex things or poop things or balls or whatever.
Right.
Which is stuff like doing your taxes.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a song,
So boring Adultz Bop.
boring Adultz Bop, or at least boring to kids.
Adulting Bop.
Adulting Bop, yeah, something like that. Okay, so it goes like this. I gotta do my taxes, it's tax day, before the IRS puts me away. I gotta do my taxes, it's tax day. Oops, I have to pay. So that's my idea.
Okay.
So the idea is we do adult versions of kids songs, but they're not adult film industry or whatever. They're like things that kids would find even more boring than adults do.
So would we pick a song and just write it as we go?
Yeah, we could pick different ones and come up with little. I mean, a lot of kids songs only have 15 words in the lyrics anyway, or whatever that
Right.
we'd have to replace.
Right. Who's listening to this? Who is buying this CD?
It's a podcast. It doesn't come out on CD form.
I know, but the concept is a like music CD.
Yeah. Kids Bop
Who's
is a
popping
CD.
this in to listen to?
Maybe it's those kids that like, you know how there's kids who like were kind of old accountants even from when they were kids.
People named like
Stanley. Yeah.
or like
Or even a Steve,
Mortimer.
I feel like. Yeah, okay, sure, a Mortimer. Like, actually, I don't know if the name determines but like,
maybe I'm unfairly maligning Stanleys and Mortimers.
yeah, I don't know if it's the name determining it, but it's like the little kid who has his like hair slicked back and there's a pocket protector. When
It's
he's
like
a
there's no
kid or
babies
whatever.
named Linda.
Right. It's like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
So a baby Linda, maybe who's like, I don't know, 5 or 10 or I don't know, whatever. What age do kids even listen to Kids Bop? Do kids even? They must, because it's very popular.
Yeah, I
But-
mean, I don't know any kids that listen to Kids Bop, but I guess I don't know a ton of kids.
You don't know that many kids.
I know a lot of babies.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm friends
Babies
with people
don't really
with
listen
babies.
to Kids Bop. It's not Babies Bop.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the idea. We would pick Frere Jacques or just whatever little, whatever
see what we
songs
could come
to
up
yeah,
with.
see what we
Okay.
could come up with.
Okay.
That's my
Or what about a
first-
podcast where we come up with like we take weird kids songs and make them better kids songs. Like maybe we figure out a way to not squish the bumblebee.
Okay.
If you haven't heard that song, that sentence was nonsense.
Yeah, we talked about it in a previous episode.
Yeah,
but
but if you didn't listen to that episode and you haven't heard that song,
yeah.
that song is I'm bringing home a baby bumblebee.
Ouch, it stung
Ouch,
me.
it stung me. And then it's I'm squishing up my baby bumblebee. So maybe
Yeah.
we could make that, we could, that's another idea we could explore. Taking kids' songs and maybe making them a little less gross.
Yeah.
Some of them are weird. Some of them are weird in a like, what message are you trying to impart here kind of way?
Yeah. Or I suppose we could just talk about weird kid songs and we
Yeah.
don't necessarily have to punch them up or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of fun that there's a lot of weird kid songs,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, there was the Bones one that you mentioned to me the other
Oh
day.
yeah, Miss Rachel, back to our Miss Rachel talkback show. There was, I think I put on the Halloween one and there was something about a ghost with like really long bones or something. I'd have to find it again, but
and
it was creepy.
And it was like, aren't you cold going around without any skin?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so that could be kind of fun.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you got any other ideas?
I do, but do you want me to do more my ideas?
How many
before we
more
get
ideas do you have? Because I only have one.
I have a number, a bunch.
All right.
Well, okay, I have another one that's sort of on the same topic,
All right.
except you mentioned one of us said it's not Baby's Bop, right? So
Right.
I was thinking Diaperz Bop.
Diaperz Bop.
Okay, so we've been singing a song to Rory when we
Yeah.
when we change his diaper because he gets all upset. He doesn't like being on his back.
Yeah.
And he kicks his feet, which makes it hard to change his diaper. And so we sing him a song, and that usually calms him down. And the song has a sound in it, and he started going when we change his diaper,
Very
which
cute.
is cute. But I was thinking, what if we did a podcast where we experiment with different songs during diaper time and see what ones work, what ones don't. Maybe
Okay,
some make it
some
worse.
Babies experimenting.
Yeah, experimenting on our child.
Yeah.
for the listens, I guess.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that song works well now because of the repetition.
Right.
So as soon as we start singing it, it's like he knows what's happening. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, this is the routine.
Right.
So I feel like any change there is probably not going to go well, but
Possibly, although if he's lying on his back and a song starts, maybe that's enough.
yeah.
Or maybe if it will become enough after a few different
Yeah.
songs or whatever.
Yeah.
The song, by the way, is also a fairly weird one. I don't really know what it's supposed to mean or if anything.
Yeah, it goes, I went the little green frog one day.
I went the little green frog. I went the little green frog one day, and they all went, ah. But we know frogs go, la-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da. We know frogs go, la-di-da-di-da. They don't go, ah.
You're welcome.
Yes, and while it is true that frogs don't go as far as I know, they also don't go la-di-da-di-da. So
To her credit,
Are
Miss
we-
Rachel does preface that song by saying, we know frogs go ribbit. This song has frogs saying something else. It's so silly.
yeah, it is obviously a silly song, and that's probably all there really is to it, but I don't know.
Yeah. But it is one of those moments where I'm like, what was going through this person's head when they wrote this song?
Right.
Like, how do you come up with this?
Right. Where were you mentally where it made sense to say these words in this order?
Maybe just singing to a baby, right?
Yeah.
Like
just making up
making up
sounds
sounds.
and then I guess maybe you've got the sounds made up and you just put some
Yeah.
nonsense narrative to it, I
Yeah.
guess, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Mildly.
Mildly interesting. This is mildly interesting, the podcast, I guess, today. Or maybe all the time.
Maybe all the time, yeah. Would you like to hear my one idea?
Yes, please give me your one idea.
Okay, so it has a title. So it's called Bad Religion.
Okay.
Or, if we want to be more profane, Jesus effing Christ.
It would be effin'.
Effing.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
okay.
because, we don't want our podcast title censored.
Right.
So the idea is just basically talking about the more terrible parts of different religions that like kind of get buried sometimes.
Okay.
So aspects of religion that are especially bad. So for instance, like Buddhism is thought of as pretty good, but also like they believe so strongly in reincarnation that like if a child gets raped, they must have done something in their past life to
Right,
deserve
right.
it, right? Like that's the
Right. I don't know enough about Buddhism to say, but I would imagine that's probably not all Buddhists believe that. But,
yeah, but it's
some probably do.
It's kind of a tenet of their
It's
like-
yeah.
the reincarnation. Like typically, if bad things happen,
It's
because
of
you did bad
because
things,
you deserve it because of karma or,
Right.
or whatever.
right? And you could take that to extremes.
Sure.
Or Mormons didn't let black people into the church until they were forced to.
That's not quite right. They didn't let black men hold the priesthood until 1978, I believe it was.
Still pretty bad.
Yeah.
Still pretty bad.
And I don't know why a lot of black people would want to join the church in that situation. So it's somewhat similar to not letting them in, I guess. But
Yeah. Or even now, like women can't, right?
right, women can't hold the priesthood in the Mormon church. Ex-Mormon here, by the way.
Probably in a lot of religions, it's that way.
Yeah, I imagine. Well, and of course, if we want to talk about bad things done by religious groups, there's all the things that the Catholic Church has done to young boys
Mm-hmm.
and things.
Yeah. So this idea, and this is obviously not a funny idea, but I do think it's one that's interesting to talk about. And I've just been thinking recently about how much better the world would be without religion
Right.
and how many terrible things can be traced back to religion and religious beliefs, or as George Carlin says it, my God's dick is bigger than your God's dick.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I mean, I can see there's definitely stuff to talk about there. Certainly lots of bad things done by religions or, religious organizations or whatever. It does feel a little bit like in your face atheist, annoying guy kind of thing.
Yeah, I did think about that too, but I think there's a way to talk about it that's not like you're an idiot for believing this stuff, but like in a way that's, how could we have these things exist in a way that maybe isn't so harmful to people?
Right.
Because there's a lot of marginalized groups that are harmed by religion.
Right. But a lot of members of marginalized groups are also members of religions.
Right. Well, people sometimes do things that are against their own interests, right? We know that's true.
Sure, yeah. Well, and it might be different marginalized groups that are being hurt than the ones that are, like a lot of time, obviously paying for bills to stop gay marriage like the Mormon Church did, 10,
That's
10
one
15
I
years
didn't
ago.
know.
Yeah. They spent a lot of money trying to get the bill in California to fail back in, I don't know, it was 2005 or something, whenever that was. But
And that's it, and I think that's where it's like that's where it's such a huge problem is because you're taking rights away from people.
right. Well, I was just using that as an example of like that's obviously harming gay rights, but not necessarily black people's rights or
Well, unless those black people are gay.
well, right.
Right.
But I'm just saying like that there are marginalized groups that can hurt each other without like marginalized group is a big term, right?
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that was that's also that would also be a good point to a podcast like this, to like spread awareness about some things like that. Like that's one I didn't know, right? There are people out there that don't know how terrible Hobby Lobby is, and like the things that they try to like throw their money at. Obviously, like I said, not a happy subject necessarily, but an interesting one, and one that could maybe get some information out, if more than 10 people started listening to our podcast.
Right. If the podcast is called Bad Religion, I feel like there could be some confusion with the band Bad Religion.
Yeah, but we've established that we're fine with that, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Like, as evidenced by our corn.
Right, but that one was on
Fancast.
purpose, specifically for that purpose, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like people that are fans of Bad Religion would also be a fan of a podcast that's anti-religion.
Right, but that is legally worse, kind of, because it means that like we're trying to steal their brand or something, right? I don't know.
Well, we could call it Jesus effing Christ.
Right, we could do that, yeah. Okay. I want to say that does not pass the vibe check for me, I think, as far as podcasts go. I wouldn't want to make that podcast, probably even listen to it, because while the things it's saying are probably true and even important, I don't need my mind changed about that or anything. I don't feel like.
Right.
I don't necessarily need more information about that topic, and I also don't particularly want to be talking about that all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I obviously don't need my mind changed about it either. So it would be more about imparting information, maybe learning some new things too. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying that's why I wouldn't want to listen to it particularly.
Yeah.
And obviously, we would be doing a lot of research.
Yeah, we
There'd be
are
a lot of
allergic to
research for that.
research. We are allergic to research.
Yeah.
And it's not a particularly uplifting topic.
It's not fun. It's not uplifting. It's not really something we could do much as if we picked that, what would we do for that? Just like name some stuff we know about, I guess.
I guess we would just be kind of sharing information with each other.
Yeah. I mean, I could talk quite a bit about not necessarily like, bad things the Mormons have done to people, but I could spend a lot of time telling you weird stuff about Mormonism because I know
tell me a couple weird Mormon things just for fun, since you do have quite a bit of knowledge there as an ex-Mormon.
Yeah, so Mormons believe that there were a family of Jews in Jerusalem, and I don't remember exactly what time period, but like Old Testament times, and they got in a boat that God told them how to make that was like all sealed up all the way around, like a capsule or something, as I feel like. And they got in that, and it went across the ocean from Jerusalem to the New World, somewhere in the Americas. And they believe, or at least the Book of Mormon does, or at least used to say at the beginning, that Mormons believe these Jews are the principal ancestors of the Native Americans, which is not borne out by any DNA evidence.
Right.
For some
Obviously.
reason. For some reason. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, I guess it's technically possible that could be the case and it not be found in DNA, but
it's not, though.
It's not terribly likely.
Yeah.
And they kind of split off into two groups called the Nephites, who followed Nephi, and then the Lamanites, who followed Nephi's brothers Laman and Lemuel. And then
Lemuel is quite the name.
Yep. Laman and Lemuel were the bad ones at first, and God told Nephi, I guess, or the Nephites, that they shouldn't intermarry with them, and so he cursed the Lamanites with dark skin.
Oh boy.
So that's
not great.
Super good. Over time, the Lamanites become the good guys sometimes, and the Nephites the bad guys sometimes, and they switch back and forth, and they do intermarry and stuff, I think, at certain points or whatever. But I guess maybe that's supposed to be why Native Americans have darker skin or whatever.
Whew.
Yeah. Joseph Smith supposedly translated the Book of Mormon as well as the Book of Abraham and maybe another book or something. I forget which he found on gold plates buried in the ground in I believe in Palmyra, New York, where the angel Moroni showed them to him. And
Moroni sounds like a cookie or something. It's very interesting. It's a very strange.
yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. Like it's moron plus I at the end.
Yeah. I mean,
and,
that's the first thing I thought
and
of.
of course, Mormon is also moron with an M stuck in there, so that's kind of unfortunate as well for that.
Yeah, I mean, you came up with the religion. You could have picked anything.
Right. I forget actually why it's called the book. I mean, there's a guy called Mormon in there somewhere, I think, but I forget exactly why. Or maybe he compiled it or something, supposedly, Mormon.
I do feel like you could do a whole podcast just on Mormonism.
I think they exist, actually. Joseph Smith also supposedly had, like, I think they're called seer stones, the Urim and Thummim, which he looked through to be able to translate the books, or the gold plates.
So we watched Book of Mormon and like they barely scratched the surface, huh?
Yeah, Book of Mormon I feel like isn't all that accurate. Also, we watched it only a couple of years ago at this point, and it feels
it felt dated.
Yeah, it felt dated. It felt
I should have seen it like when it came out.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, 10 or 15 years ago it probably would have felt
like
a
the
little less.
jokes that were supposed to be shocking are not so shocking at
Right.
this part. It was very South Park humor.
It's
for sure.
quite South Parky, but and like old South Park too, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what it was basically. But although I feel like Cannibal the Musical still holds up pretty well.
Yeah.
Speaking of
but
other
not a lot of like
Matt Stone and Trey Parker stuff.
not a lot of like disease jokes in there. Not a lot of like poop jokes.
Yeah, it's just more weird, I
Just
guess.
more weird, yeah.
Anyway,
Maybe because you're already doing a musical about a crazy event, so like you don't really have to do a lot more.
maybe. I
If
don't
you haven't
know.
seen Cannibal the Musical, it's about not the Donner Party, but
No, it's a guy whose name I can't remember, like
Yeah.
a famous guy that did cannibalism.
Yeah.
Because they got trapped in
they
the
got trapped.
snow or whatever in the mountains.
I do have to say, like, a lot of like settler colonialism and racism in Mormon's background. Like, a lot of religions are very white, but Mormonism is especially white, isn't it?
Well, it is in America,
Yeah.
but it's actually like I think it may still be one of the fastest growing religions, and that's largely because of missionary efforts in the global South, as far as I know. So there are
Yeah,
a
I
lot of
guess
Mormons outside of
I'm speaking more to its like roots.
yeah.
Really, like it's like so many of. I mean, I think, like I said, this is the case for a lot of religions, but a lot of religions are rooted in settler colonialism, and I think it's interesting that you can see that religion was just a tool for displacing people a lot of times.
Sure. Or like giving you a reason to go somewhere to convert the heathens or whatever.
The heathens, yeah.
Yeah. The racism thing is interesting too because Joseph Smith actually did ordain, I believe, 1 or 2 black men to the priesthood while he was alive. But then he was killed and Brigham Young took over, who is what BYU is named after, the big college.
Can we say fuck Brigham Young?
I mean,
Yeah.
He made it so that, he instituted the policy that black men can't hold the priesthood. And I think it was because of something similar to the curse of the Lamanites having dark skin. I think it was something like, and this is half remembered from a while ago, but I think it was something like, dark skin is the mark of Cain or something like that.
Ugh,
which
ouch.
is, yeah.
So painful.
Yeah, it's messed up in a lot of ways, but anyway.
I mean, I guess religion is just a tool that people use to push their ideology, which a lot of times is a bad ideology.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because like on some level, thinking about the harm caused by black people not being allowed to be the priests in the Mormon church, it's like, well, they're not allowed to do a thing that's fake anyway.
Right.
So it's kind of probably not really that harmful, but it's clearly motivated by
The material
harmful
harm may not be, but
Yeah. I
obviously,
mean, I'm sure
othering
it
of
doesn't.
people
yeah,
is bad.
I'm sure it doesn't feel good for any black people.
Yeah.
Thinking about it or coming into contact with the idea or whatever. Obviously, and it's clearly motivated by racism. but
Right.
it's, I don't know, it's just,
Which which should just not be a thing, right? Like,
what, racism? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, we
Yeah.
shouldn't be excluding people from things based on how much melanin they have,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Like,
Well, and just the idea that God has cursed an entire, lineage of people or ethnicity or whatever is, I mean, that's built into a lot of religions as well, right? Like Judaism is kind of the opposite, where God has like blessed, they're the chosen people or whatever,
right.
which, is also pretty kind of a messed up way to look at the world, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily more messed up than any other religion. I'm not like, I'm trying to not be anti-Semitic at all, right?
Right.
Obviously, like people have their religions, whatever. But
Yeah,
like,
no, I mean, to be clear,
it's a pretty
we dislike all religions for the most part, right?
I guess.
mean, is there one that we're like, yeah, that one's all right?
I feel like Unitarian Universalists are probably fine.
I don't even know what that is.
They're just like, well, have never been to one of their churches, but my understanding is that they're just kind of like anybody who believes anything can kind of come and hang out and have fellowship with each other, and that's kind of it.
Okay.
Like it's just kind of a nice community thing, is my understanding.
So kind of like agnosticism, but a little bit more organized.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I think they believe in some kind of something, but not very specifically, or it can be specific, but it's not exclusive, or something like that. I don't know. Like there clearly are benefits to religions,
right?
Community and things like
the
that.
community aspect of it, which also is interesting, I think, to talk about, because you could argue that religion is kind of filling a hole that exists because of the pushing of individualism and the loss of community.
Yeah, but religion's been there since before capitalism and before even, kind of the main ways of organizing Western society and stuff like that. And it obviously exists in other cultures.
Well,
as
yeah,
well.
but I mean, as it exists today.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel like I don't want to talk about religious stuff anymore, probably.
Okay. Well, thank you for teaching me some more things about Mormonism.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so that was your one idea,
That
right?
was my one idea.
All right. I can find some more ideas to talk about.
Can we say again, please send us your ideas, because we can come up with lots of stupid ideas, but we would much rather talk about your stupid ideas. So please send us your ideas.
Yeah, please do.
Email us what@coolpodcast.website.
Yes, please send us your ideas. So this idea is called Thesaurus Criminals, or maybe Thesaurus Crimes. And it's
Did you pitch this
I
one
mentioned, I've talked about the Thesaurus Criminal is a term that I use for when people, like when you see somebody who is trying to sound smart and they clearly have just replaced a bunch of words in a regular paragraph with words they looked up in the thesaurus and didn't really understand.
It's very jarring when you're reading a book and that happens, where it's like clearly not in the flow of the story, and it just like, why did you just throw this word in here? Because I feel like a lot of times there'll be a word that's really obviously the one you would use, and so somebody goes out of their way to not use that one.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess I see that sometimes, like, and as someone who's, I wrote a novel one time, and you definitely have a
Humble
temptation. Well, nobody published it or anything. So, but anyway.
But still, you wrote a whole novel.
I did. But anyway, there is definitely a temptation to like try to find a way not to repeat a word and stuff like that sometimes. So maybe it's that. But I mostly see it in people like online trying to sound smart or arguing with each other and stuff. But,
oh yeah, you're on Reddit a lot more than I am.
Yeah, but this idea isn't about that per se. It's more about, like, I was looking at thesaurus for a word because I was trying to. Usually, when I use a thesaurus, it's because I can think of a similar word, but not the word I'm actually trying to think of, right? And so I look at that similar word and see if I can find the word. And I was looking in the thesaurus for the word variety. And there were a bunch of words that I had never heard of in this thesaurus as synonyms for variety. And, another brag, I guess, but I have a pretty big vocabulary. I have an English degree and
ladies.
And my vocabulary is huge, ladies. I think statistically women tend to have bigger vocabularies than men
Is
for
that
some
true?
reason. I
Why
think
is that?
so. I'm not sure. I don't know. Men are dumb, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting how many of these words I didn't know. And I thought maybe we could do a podcast where we talk about like.
Do men statistically read as much as women?
Probably not.
I would guess that would be probably.
Yeah, I
mean,
think
most of the time when you learn new words, I feel like you're reading a book and you see a word and you get it from the context or you look it up.
Yeah. I'm fairly sure that like the market for publishing novels and things like that, the women do tend to be the bigger audience there.
Yeah.
I don't know by how much, but anyway, the idea is like just finding words we never knew before and talking about them, and maybe talk about some of the nuances about them, or find out more about them, or just add to our vocabulary. So it's kind of just a like vocabulary podcast, I guess.
Okay.
So
you gonna throw some words at me to see if I know them?
Well, okay. So these are synonyms for variety. We've got.
What if we tried to stump each other? We try to throw words at each other and see if.
Yeah, that could be part of it.
Kind of like a podcast balderdash.
Okay. So we're trying to trick the other person into what the word means, maybe?
No, but you just got to try and come up with the definition and see if you can figure it out.
Yeah. There's also a lot of words where I like basically know what it means, but I don't know if I could give you a good definition of it. But anyway, these are synonyms for variety.
Okay.
And you got ones like agglomerate, assortment, collage, right?
Okay.
Hodgepodge. Okay. Those are all words I know. Alphabet soup. Yeah, okay, I guess. Botch, which I didn't know that was a one.
Botch,
but I guess if you said
like if you botch something.
Yeah, but that's a verb. But this is like a botch. So if someone said there's a whole botch of buttons over there, I would know what they meant.
Batch though.
Right. I mean, maybe it's related.
Like, does this person think that batch is pronounced botch?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it could be British or something. I don't know. But another one, crazy quilt. I guess so. Farrago, which I feel like I've heard, but I don't know if I would have known what it really meant. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing this one right. Gallimaufry?
That's what they call an assortment on Gallifrey.
Yeah, right. A gallimaufry, a grab bag, gumbo, hash, hodgepodge, hotchpotch.
Hotchpotch.
Which I guess is just hodgepodge said a little bit different, basically. Jambalaya, sure. Jungle, a jungle of stuff. I guess I would get it if someone said that. Macedon or Macedon or something like that. I mean, it's got an accent on the E, an acute accent. So it's clearly French
accent.
Yeah, it's a French accent.
It's acute accent.
The Pope is coming. What are we gonna do? Anyway, Macedon, I guess.
Vincenzo, be careful with the wine. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah. So that's a weird Italian accent, and this is a French accent. Anyway, Macedon. I don't Macedon. I don't know how you pronounce it or whatever. Here's another French one. Mélange, sure. Menagerie, sure. Miscellanea, miscellany, mishmash. Motley, sure. Oleo. Oleo means fat or something, I think.
No, oleo, O-L-I-O.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in crossword puzzles all the time.
Oh, is it?
So I know that one.
Okay.
Maybe this is why women have bigger vocabularies. Maybe we do more crossword puzzles.
Maybe. Okay, how about Olla podrida? O-L-L-A space P-O-D-R-I-D-A. Olla podrida.
Never gonna say that.
No. Look at that Olla podrida of forks over there.
The fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Some words I feel like fall out of favor just because like it's just
what the
too
fuck
much
are you
of a
talking
mouthful,
about? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Omnium gatherum, which sort of makes sense if you know a little bit of Latin,
right?
But I don't think it is Latin. I think it
sounds Latinish.
It sounds Latinish, but it sounds like something Wile E. Coyote would say, right? Was like the scientific name for it.
Cartoon Latin.
Yeah, it's like cartoon Latin. I'm omnium probably is Latin, is real Latin. Omnius or whatever, something like that. But gatherum, I don't think so. I don't think that's
No,
anything.
you just add to the end of anything and
now
it's Latin.
Yeah. That's right. Ragbag. If someone said, look at that big ragbag of things over there, I guess I would get it.
Yeah. I mean, you can infer from context a lot of times.
Yeah. Look at that big rag out.
But if somebody said
rag out.
ragu?
Ragu, maybe? But that's not. I've never seen it spelled like a French way.
But if somebody said, "Look at that big rag bag," I'd be like, "What bag? What
Is
bag?
there a bag of
I don't
rags
see a
over there?"
bag."
But if someone was like, "There's a whole rag bag of people over there," you'd be like, "I guess there is. Some maybe."
I'd be like, "Are you being racist?"
It'd be like, "Do you
What?
mean an olla podrida of people?" Salad, sure, I guess. A whole salad of things over there. Salmagundi. That one sounds familiar, but I don't know what it
That
is.
sounds like a person.
It also sounds a little racist somehow, right? To me.
Maybe. I think it's making me think of Salman Rushdie.
Yeah,
So I'm
probably.
like, this is just a person,
It
right?
does sound like a guy's name, maybe. Salmagundi.
Yeah.
Or it could just be like that Italian guy, Sal. Sal Magundi down the street.
Sal. So is Magundi, you're saying he's your Gundy? Sal. Magundi.
That's not, I was saying Magundi was his last name,
He's
but
like your, Gundy's like pal.
yeah, he's like Magundi.
Sal. Magundi.
Yeah. What's up, Magundis? Anyway, that's Welter. I feel like maybe Welter I've heard of, but anyway, so a bunch of those like Ola Podrida, Omnium Gatherum, Salmagundi, Macedon or whatever. They're just words I'd literally never heard of in my life, right?
Did you
Even
see
remotely.
somebody use any of these?
No. I was just looking up. I was trying to find a particular synonym that meant something like variety, and I forget what it even was. I don't think this list helped me.
So were you trying to use a different word in a post?
No, I was trying to, like I said before, I was trying to remember a word that I knew was similar to variety. So I looked in the thesaurus to see if I could find what the word I was trying to think of was.
Yeah.
I wasn't just like, I don't want to say variety. I better put in Ola Podrida here or whatever. Anyway, so I don't know. We could like look up what Ola Podrida is or where it comes from, what the heck it's supposed to be, or Omnium Gatherum. Maybe that literally does come from cartoons or something, right? Like, who knows?
All right.
Farrago, I don't know. Gallimaufry, right? So
yeah.
we could look up some of these words and learn about them and then talk about them, and that's the podcast, I guess.
Okay.
It's educational and silly and whatever.
All right. You do like to talk about words.
You've noticed that, have you?
I have noticed that about you.
Yeah.
Well, should we pick an idea to explore more?
Do we have any that we're interested in exploring more? Because I'm not totally sure. I mean, I feel like Adultz Bop could be fun.
Adultz Bop. What do we got? We've got Adultz Bop. We've got
Diaperz Bop.
Diaperz Bop. We've got
This bad religion thing.
Bad Religion, which you have unequivocally stated you do not want to talk more about.
Right. And we've got this Thesaurus Criminals one.
Is that it? I thought there was one more. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. Just talking more about weird Mormon stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, weird Mormon stuff. I mean, I do enjoy learning about weird Mormon stuff because it feels like it's never ending. Every time I think I know all of it, you drop a new fact on me, and I'm like, huh.
I maybe have like half an hour to an hour worth of content I could talk about, and I feel like it would dry up after that.
Yeah.
And then we'd have to like research or something. And who wants to do that?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I do have more ideas if we don't like any of these. I feel like Adultz Bop could be kind of fun.
All right. Well, let's run with Adultz Bop.
Okay.
So what song do we want to do?
Well, what are some good, easy?
Frere Jacques.
Frere Jacques is a common one. A lot of
Bringing
stuff
Home
gets.
a Baby Bumblebee.
Yeah. Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
What should
Mary
our
Had a Little Lamb.
What should our subject matter be?
Okay, so I did one about taxes. What are other adulting type things? Like things that Svetlana would be like, oh my God, it's the most boring. Like watching the news, maybe.
Watching the news?
Like,
that could get depressing real fast.
Well, we could do it sort of generic.
Grocery
economy.
shopping.
Grocery shopping. The economy, maybe.
Economy. House cleaning.
House cleaning.
Going to get your oil changed.
Getting your oil changed, sure. What are the other things we have to do as adults?
Paying bills.
Paying bills, voting.
Voting.
I mean, you don't have to do that, I guess, but
Well,
politics
you
in
should.
general, political
you
stuff.
should, I guess.
Yeah.
Even if you feel like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well.
Because it's a very broken system, but we do what we can.
Yeah, I mean, the cost of voting is pretty low, so if
Yeah.
it helps at all, it's probably worth it. But
It's definitely worth staying educated about things locally.
yeah, voting locally is a bigger deal than voting for president and stuff, probably. But anyway, but voting in general, or we could do. Oh, you know what just occurred to me? We're kind of talking about what's it called? The what's the thing? It's like from the 70s and animated. I'm a Bill, and this is how Bills work.
Schoolhouse Rock.
Schoolhouse Rock. We're kind of doing Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah.
If we talk about politics and voting, at least.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, they sing about electricity too.
Right.
Electricity.
Yeah, I don't know those
I had
songs
that
very
like
well.
Schoolhouse Rock's CD that had like all the cover versions, the Schoolhouse Rock songs.
You know what's another
was
good
pretty
tune?
fun.
Another good tune we could maybe do is I think it's called "Turkey in the Straw" is the like official name of the not
Yeah,
official,
yeah.
but the
I don't know if I remember that one, but I know.
yeah the
There you
do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to
right.
and fro? That's the "Turkey in the Straw." thing.
Right. Yeah, isn't that one like have racist origins?
Turkey in the
too?
Straw does. The
Yeah.
"Do your ears hang low" one, I'm pretty sure was actually like soldiers saying "Do your balls hang low" or something originally.
Oh, okay.
Which is, I guess it's the original Adultz Bop. Maybe.
It's just gonna make me think of that Mabim Bam bit where Griffin is singing about ice cream.
Right. Well, this is kind of that, but not about ice cream, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so that tune could work.
Okay.
So, like, if we were doing, I don't know, voting, or what were some of the other things we said?
grocery shopping,
grocery
house
shopping,
cleaning.
grocery shopping. So, like, gotta go to the store, gotta get stuff on my list.
Gotta get some things to eat. I think eat will be easier
Yeah.
to rhyme than list.
Sure. If we
Gotta-
don't, then we won't have food for the week.
Gotta go to the store, gotta get something to eat. Gonna walk down the aisles with my little 2 feet.
Okay. Gotta use my coupons for a price that can't be beat. Or something like that, maybe. Coupons is very
Come to the store with me, it's gonna be so sweet.
yeah. Does it have to rhyme every time? The same rhyme every time?
No.
But couponing seems like a pretty good, very boring to children
Yeah.
topic.
It's boring to me too.
Yeah.
I mean,
But like the difference is
I always
like
forget my coupons on the fridge. I put them on the fridge with every intent of using them.
yeah.
Then-
I feel like the difference between kids and adults in this isn't that adults don't find it boring. It's just that adults are able to make themselves do boring things more so than children are.
Right. Right. Well, because you got to have food in the house.
Right.
Yeah. And you're like,
If I don't get the food,
I want some crackers. And
if I don't get the food, my parents aren't going to get it for me like they would when I was a
it's a sad
child.
fact of being an adult, isn't
Yeah.
it?
But on the other hand, you can get whatever food you want.
That's true. You could eat ice cream for breakfast.
Yep. And
You won't feel
I
very
just-
well, but you could eat ice cream for breakfast.
I just remembered I have some ice cream to eat.
Ooh, I just remembered I have some ice cream to eat.
It's past breakfast time, but we could eat it for lunch.
Yeah. We don't get ice cream all that often because we eat a lot of ice cream if we
Yeah,
get ice
if
cream.
we get ice cream.
So it's very exciting when we remember there's ice cream.
So another way we could do this podcast idea, this Adultz Bop thing, is instead of just doing, I mean, I think the boring adult stuff is part of it, but I think maybe another thing is like, could be like bragging about stuff you can do as an adult that you don't get to do as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, gonna get ice cream, gonna eat it for breakfast. I can do that because being adult is the best.
Gonna buy some chocolate, some potato chips too.
Yeah.
Gonna eat the junk food.
And then not go to school. So yeah, not going to school could be a pretty good
Yeah.
brag there
Yeah.
too. You do have to go to work, which is probably worse than school, but
Yeah.
still, you don't have to go to school at least.
That's true. I feel like I would rather go to school than to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
So
being
we don't
honest.
get to go to school. It's a kind of a self-own more than a brag, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But going to like high school or middle school,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Going to college.
At college, you don't like the professors don't have the kind of power over you and stuff that teachers have.
Yeah, and you get to learn what you're interested
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
I mean, you
It's
got to
more
do your
Yeah,
prerequisites.
but it's more directed.
Yeah.
And the prerequisites are based on what you're going to major in and stuff, right? So,
Yeah. It's a lot more fun because, like, you're opting to be there, right? That's the
yeah.
having agency makes a big difference.
Right. Yeah, you have a lot more agency as
Yeah.
a college student or whatever.
Give your kids agency as much as you can. We should be giving kids more agency
Yeah, as much as we can. Yeah. True.
because there's a lot of areas that we could be giving them agency in that would make them want to learn more things.
But if we give kids more agency, then what are we going to brag about in our Adultz Bop songs?
Well, we could still brag about.
I've got agency, but you don't.
No, that's mean.
Yeah.
That's just mean. I maybe I'm sensitive. Maybe I'm more sensitive to this now that I'm like now that I have a baby. But like I don't know. I feel like I've always been a little bit sensitive to it. I think kids should be treated like people.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously have deficits in terms of judgment and things.
I think this is illustrative, actually, of how we expect things from kids that we don't follow ourselves. Because, like, why should we get to eat ice cream for breakfast and they don't?
Well, our bodies are not going to be as harmed by not getting as much nutrients or that we need for growing.
But once
and
in a
stuff.
while, maybe we don't eat ice cream for breakfast all the time, but maybe once in a while we eat ice cream for breakfast.
Yeah, well, we did that yesterday with Svetlana that one time.
Yeah.
Where she had, what did we do? We made a bowl. We took a balloon and dipped it in chocolate and let the chocolate dry into kind of a bowl shape. And then we put ice cream in the chocolate bowl and sprinkles on it and stuff. And she got to eat that for breakfast on her guest day.
Yeah. So, okay. What are more boring things that
Adults are into?
that adults
I mean,
aren't
like,
into? But
well, I feel like
I mean, sometimes I like grocery shopping.
yeah, I mean, grocery shopping is whatever. But I feel like the news, right? Like, I am interested to watch the news in a way that I absolutely wasn't as a child. And when I say the news, I mean finding out about stuff that's happening, not necessarily watching like CBS Nightly News or whatever.
Right.
But
the information that you're seeking out as an adult is
what's happening in the world
more boring to children.
And it's very boring to children because it's not relevant to them, I guess,
Yeah.
or they don't understand it or it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do pay taxes, you do care about who's elected or whatever, or new policies of the government or whatever.
Okay, so what song could we write about watching the news? What could we do to Frere Jacques?
Watching the news, it's not boring. Yes, it is. No.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of hard to write a whole song about watching the news. Maybe.
Watching the news. Now I'm scared. Minorities are scary. That's what they told me.
Okay, so it's about watching Fox News.
Yeah, something, I don't know. I feel like that's not just Fox News. Fox News is just more so.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. They're just more blatant about
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
okay, how about Frere Jacques about doing the taxes?
Well, I did the doing the taxes to the other song.
Okay.
I mean, we could explore it more.
Now, let's see. What else could we do?
Will I get a refund?
How about paying bills?
Paying bills. There you go. That's a good that's a good topic.
Today is Tuesday. It's bill day.
They'll shut off my electric. They won't pick up my garbage if I don't pay.
If I don't pay. Day is bill day. Time to pay.
Watch my bank account drain. Now I'm broke.
Now I'm broke. Wow, being an adult is fun.
Yeah. With great
power
comes great responsibility. But it's not even power. It's more like freedom, which I guess is like power.
Do you think that is why people are so quick to like impose rules on their kids sometimes? Because it gives them a sense of power and agency? Because we all want power and agency, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm sure that's a factor. I think the ostensible reason, like the reason supposedly it's for is like to teach children about responsibility and about
no one can see me rolling my eyes, but I am.
She's rolling them pretty hard. It's to teach, like in theory, it's to teach them that stuff, but I don't know that it necessarily does. It's just like your childhood gets to suck as much as your adulthood will.
Yeah,
but without the good parts.
Yeah, give your kid as many good things as you can. Let them have the freedom that you can give them. Like, say yes whenever you can. You have to say no to a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Say yes to as many things as you can. Like, Rory likes to pull books off the shelf and really wants to destroy all the books. So we gave him like one book that Miles hates. And that's his book to destroy.
Yeah, he's destroyed the cover of it pretty good. He also has all his own books that he can chew on, but he pulls them off and then we don't immediately replace them. Whereas the other books, as soon as he pulls them off and tries to destroy them, we're like, no, and put them back. And he's like, oh, fun game. I'll
Yeah.
pull them off now.
So we've started stacking them on top of the shelves. And it's fine because at some point he's going to stop chewing on books. This is just a fit. He's not going to be chewing on books forever.
How about a song about reading nonfiction? That's the
about
thing
reading
kids don't want to
nonfiction.
do.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
What's a
What
good
tune?
nonfiction book?
Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
Gonna read a nonfiction. That's not.
Gonna read a biography.
Of Abe Lincoln.
I was thinking Abraham Lincoln too.
Yeah.
Is that the go-to?
I don't know. I've read a biography of Abraham Lincoln, so maybe. Gonna read about Frederick Douglass. The book's been on my shelf forever. But I swear
that
I'll
true?
read it soon.
Is that true?
It is.
Do you hate reading nonfiction too?
I don't really like nonfiction. Oh, it's not that I don't like it, but I just
It depends on the
usually
nonfiction.
usually would prefer. I mean, I read a lot of nonfiction in not book form, right? I read
Yeah.
a lot of websites and things, but I don't tend to read a lot of nonfiction books for some
Yeah.
reason. I guess if I'm reading a book, I'd usually rather read a novel.
Yeah.
But
Escapism.
and I said I've read a Abraham Lincoln biography, but that was for school in middle school. And I think I had to dress up like Abe Lincoln for a presentation for it or something.
I've read the Johnny Cash autobiography, and that is very entertaining.
Yeah.
That's a good nonfiction.
Yeah.
Stiff is also a very good one.
About corpses and how they're used or whatever,
Yeah.
medical stuff.
I mean, probably not a good one if you have a weak stomach. Book
Right.
review podcast.
Book review podcast
Book review
about
podcast.
nonfiction books.
Gonna
I feel
gonna
like
Gonna save book reviews.
I feel like we've talked about book reviews quite a few times.
Yeah.
But
Well, maybe I just really want to do a book review podcast
Okay.
because books are.
I mean,
very
last
important to
last
me.
week we talked about Fourth Wing, which I haven't started yet.
Yeah,
I guess
we're
I
gonna
should start
we're gonna
that.
circle back to Fourth Wing once you
Yeah.
read it. I am almost done with Iron Flame, and then there will be no more books until she puts out more. So
So you're saying this author doesn't put out enough? Is that what you're saying?
actually, she put out 2 books in 2023. So and they're not short books. So
Yeah.
so no, I'm not saying that, but I am saying that I am an impatient person.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, we are about at our length of time that we spend podcasting usually,
Yeah.
and that Adultz Bop idea, its legs were maybe a little shorter.
Yeah, a little shorter than we thought.
was
Maybe
like
we're
one of
just not
those-
very good at improvising songs.
Maybe. Also, sometimes short legs are very cute, like on those Munchkin cats.
They are very cute.
Very cute.
Munchkin Cat podcast.
Or like corgis. They have short little legs. They're very
Aw.
cute, right?
I think all of them probably have back problems.
Yeah, I think corgis are okay. They're not like a kind of dog that like falls apart like a lot of like
I thought you
purebred
were
dogs.
just saying like corgis are okay,
Corgis are fine, whatever.
and like you're in the minority there for sure.
Well, I think corgis are super cute and fun, but also I lived with a partner who had a corgi, and they're very high energy and need to be walked all the time.
Yeah.
And also that one at least liked to fight with other dogs or like get real aggressive with other dogs and stuff. So they can be a handful to actually have as a pet, but they're very cute.
they are very cute.
And the stumpy little legs do help with that. So do the giant bat ears.
The giant bat ears are a huge factor.
Give
for me.
anything short little legs and big bat ears, and I guess maybe like big eyes,
Yeah.
and this is probably gonna be
that's
cute.
Like why the fennec foxes just look like cartoons.
Yeah, sure. I mean, their ears are bigger than the rest of them, but
Yeah. But like cartoonishly so.
and if you give them a tiny hat, that will also help.
A little top hat.
A little party hat, maybe,
Yeah, a little party hat or a little top hat.
or a little sombrero.
Depends on where they're going.
I think we determined that any hat is pretty much good
Yeah.
for animals. Any tiny hat. Is
What
good for
what
animals.
event will your animal be attending?
Right? Is it a black tie event or should we do some social media stuff?
Yeah. Okay. So you can find all of our links on our website at coolpodcast.website. We're on Instagram and Threads and Twitter at whatshouldpod. And you can email us at coolpodcast.website.
As we mentioned earlier.
Please email us. Please, 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 please. We want to hear your ideas. And also, please subscribe and leave us a review because that will help more people listen and find our podcast and listen to it. And we'll have more things to talk about. And that will make it a more enjoyable podcast for you, listener.
Right. And
Yeah.
also tell everyone you've ever met about our podcast.
Tell everyone you've ever met, even your mailman,
Especially your mailman.
especially your mailman.
And if you're on Spotify, if you listen on Spotify, you can answer silly questions that I put up each week. And that's probably about that.
Yeah. Do that too.
Welcome to What Should Our Outro Be About? The outro where we try to figure out what this outro that you're listening to right now should be about. I'm still here.
I am also still here.
Okay, so it sounds like you have an outro idea that you want to talk about.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a quick, I just came up with it while we were chatting. And I
That's
think
fine.
that you should give a weird Mormon fact as our outro.
Okay.
Every
Weird
week.
Mormon fact. I was thinking maybe more cursed facts would be fun.
Cursed facts.
I could give a Mormon fact and a cursed fact today.
I guess we could do 2 facts.
So, cursed fact, you, listener, and you, Ginger, and me, Miles, and everyone who's alive probably, you have arachnids living in your eyebrows right now.
No.
You do?
No.
Yep.
I thought nothing was worse than the eyelash mites.
They're similar things. Mites are arachnids,
Oh, okay.
actually. So it sounds worse than it. I mean, you don't notice them, obviously. They're microscopic or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? But
I
they are
noticed the
arachnids.
little spiders crawling around in my eyebrows.
You
I like
probably
to
would
think,
notice that. Yeah.
I don't look in the mirror that much these days, but I feel like I would probably notice that maybe while brushing my teeth.
Mm-hmm. Mormon fact.
The weirder, the better.
So there's a lot of characters in the Book of Mormon with pretty wild names. And there's one character called Corianton. And there's
That's
another
a spice.
And there's another character called Coriantimer, which also sounds like
Also
a
a
spice.
spice.
And those are 2 different characters. I don't think
And
they're
you're
even
supposed
related.
to like,
And you got to keep them separate
yeah.
and remember who they are, I guess. I mean, I don't. So
Yeah.
I guess you don't have to. But I believe one of them was the son of the prophet Alma. One of the books in the Book of Mormon is the Book of Alma.
Sorry, it just sounds like an old aunt.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. La tia Alma. That's
the Book of Susan.
well, Alma is literally like there's something where Tia Alma is something. I don't remember what.
A te ama is I love you.
No, Tia is aunt in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
That like I swear there's a book or something
I
about
see.
your aunt Alma. Anyway, yes. But this is a different Alma, and he has a son named either Corianton or Coriantimer, I don't remember, who I believe goes off with harlots. Anyway,
Good for him.
That's more Mormon facts than you probably needed.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. Okay, well, I guess that's the end of the podcast. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
What was that podcast about? I'm trying to figure it out. Didn't catch what that was about.